So before I get into this review, let's make one thing perfectly clear. John Wick Chapter 2 is not your normal run-of-the-mill action film. This stands up there with the greats like Mad Max Fury Road, Terminator 2, and yes, even Die Hard. Do I have your attention? John Wick Chapter 2 stars Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Ian McShane, and is directed by Chad Stahelski. So what's up, guys? I actually saw this movie last night, and I wasn't expecting it to be as good as the first one, even based on the trailers. And the reason being is because the first one, it's good. I don't think it's as great as everybody makes it out to be, although it is fantastic. But I love that emotional aspect of the first one, the relationship between not only his dog, but his wife. That was the core of the movie. And from the trailer for this one, I didn't really get that as much, but boy was I wrong. John Wick Chapter 2, like I said in the beginning, is a special action film. So anyway, let's get into this review. So in John Wick Chapter 2, Wick is done. He is retired, he just wants to settle down, and he ties up any loose ends that he had left from the first movie, right at the beginning of this movie. But then one of his, I guess you could say, business associates from the past, D'Antonio, comes a-calling, and he has a marker, which is kind of a big gold coin that has a blood mark inside it, and it's a debt. And if you are handed this marker, you do not turn it away. Otherwise, it could mean your ass. And so with a great deal of resistance, John Wick has to take on this task. And in doing so, he knows that he is just going to get caught right back in the criminal underworld, which is what he's been trying profusely to get away from. First off, let's get this right out of the way. Why does John Wick Chapter 2 rank up there with the greats? To me, it's a perfect storm of action films. It has great, interesting characters. I say villains, but some of the villains in this movie don't necessarily walk that straight villain line, and I found that interesting. Also, there are some unpredictable moments. Some of the scenes in this movie play out differently than you would predict, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you see this movie. And that involves his mission in this movie. And I don't want to give that away because I think you'll enjoy it more going in if you don't know. But also, the action scenes in this movie are bar none some of the best action scenes I've seen in an action film in the last 15 years. They're really that good. They're handled with the greatest care. But the biggest thing is Keanu Reeves is the real deal. Everything you see on screen, for the most part, is Keanu. You can tell it's Keanu. Now, there's one scene where he's fighting the guy and they go down the steps, and obviously that's probably gonna be a stuntman, but I'd say 95% of this movie is hand-to-hand combat, Keanu Reeves, and not just hand-to-hand combat, but weapon combat as well. And oftentimes in action movies, use of firearms can become stale and boring. But that is the niche that puts John Wick above most action movies. The way that John Wick carries himself with a handgun is interesting alone. And being a former military member myself, having military training, that is the way you hold a handgun in that type of situation when you have multiple people coming at you. And it's not something you see often in these types of films, but John Wick nails it perfectly. Also, the villains in this movie, really, really interesting. You have D'Antonio, which is the guy that needs the debt paid, and he just makes John Wick's life a living hell throughout this movie. And you love to hate the guy. And then you also have Winston, played by Ian McShane, who is that guy that is not necessarily a villain, but he will protect his quote-unquote kingdom. If you piss in his front yard, you're gonna have to pay. And that plays a big part in this movie. Also, it's awesome to see Lawrence Fishburne back with Keanu Reeves. And there is kind of a little wink to the Matrix in just one line, but they definitely don't overdo it. And his character is interesting because he operates in the underbelly of the criminal underworld. And John Wick comes to him for help eventually in the movie. And also another character that I found highly interesting was Gianna, who is D'Antonio's sister, because she plays a pivotal part in this movie, and how her character arc plays out is really unpredictable. Finally, the score in this movie is one of the best action scores I've ever heard. It's almost got kind of a gothic feel to it, which is something you usually don't see in action movies. But to me, it's the heart and soul of the movie. It's the heartbeat of the movie, and it constantly keeps you entertained throughout. By the way, this movie has the perfect pacing. I never wanted it to end. And the location of this movie in Rome plays a big part to that gothic feel of the movie. Guys, as you can probably guess, I gotta give John Wick Chapter 2 a Trap on an Island. This is by far the best movie I've seen this year, and it's probably gonna be pretty tough to top it. And you know me, I'm a horror fan, but I'm also a big action movie fan, and if an action movie is done very well, like Mad Max Fury Road, then I am completely ecstatic. Matter of fact, somebody on Instagram asked me, is this movie better than Mad Max Fury Road? I think it is. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on John Wick Chapter 2? Looking forward to hearing them. Also, jump on over to Killer Flicks, where today's Friday, actually, and it's Free For All Friday. We talk horror normally, but on Fridays, we do Free For All Friday, so we can talk any genre. Also, if you look right down there, you can see all my social media links. If you like what I'm doing, please click that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.